Okay, so today we're going to look at how to do long division of polynomials. Now here's the first question that we're going to do. Now I'm going to just write out our division here. So we've got x squared minus x minus 1. That's our divisor. And then we've got x to the fourth minus 3x to the third plus 2x minus 5. Now here's the thing that you want to remember is that if you have any terms that are missing, in this case we're missing an x squared term, what we want to make sure that we do is we want to include this and we want to have a 0 in its spot. So any zeros for any missing coefficients. Now, what we're going to do is we're basically going to be doing divide, multiply, and subtract. Those are our 3 steps that we're going to do. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and we are going to divide. So we're going to take our x to the fourth here, and we're going to divide it by the first term of our divisor, so what we are dividing by. Now when we do this, remember we subtract our exponents, so it's x to the second power. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up x to the second power. That's my answer. I'm going to line it up right above the x squared term. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and multiply. Now I'm going to multiply this x squared that we just had, and I'm going to multiply it by everything in our divisor. So what I've got is I've got x squared and then times x squared, which is going to be x to the fourth. Now those should match. Then I'm going to do x squared times a negative x. That's a negative x to the third. And then I'm going to have x squared times negative 1, which is a negative x squared. Now, we're always going to subtract. Now, I'm putting parentheses around there so you know to kind of remember to distribute that negative sign or change all the signs inside that second parentheses, which is pretty much like adding the opposite. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we go ahead and subtract this, my first term should cancel. They should be canceling out to 0. And then I have negative 3 minus a negative 1, which is a negative 2x to the third. And then I have a 0 minus a negative x squared, which is going to be a positive x squared. So subtracting a negative is just like adding. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drop the next term down. So we have one more term to deal with here, okay? And you're going to repeat your steps. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take my first term, which is right here, and I'm going to divide it again by this term here. All right, so I've got negative 2x to the third divided by x squared, which is going to get me a negative 2x. Now, remember, when I deal with this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see, all right, I've got the negative 2x. I'm going to put that right at the top. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply. Now we're going to multiply our negative 2x there by what we have in our divisor, which is right here on the left side. All right, so when I multiply, I'm going to have that negative 2x, and I'm going to multiply it by x squared, which is going to be a negative 2x cubed here. And then I'm going to have negative 2x times negative x, which is a positive 2x squared. And then I have a negative 2x times a negative 1, which is a positive 2x. Now, again, remember, if we're subtracting, we like to put parentheses around there just to help you to remember that you are having to distribute that negative sign in. Now, we will be going ahead and remembering that that first term is going to cancel. So I have x squared minus 2x squared, which is a negative x squared. And then I have 2x minus 2x, which is a 0x. Okay. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I am going to take this negative 5 that's at the end. It's going to drop down here. Okay, and you're going to repeat all your steps again. So now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and look at the next term. So you got negative x squared right here. Okay, negative x squared divided by your divisor, the first term of your divisor, which is x squared. And that's going to get you a -1. And the -1 is going to go right there at the top. All right, now we're going to multiply. So we're going to multiply the -1 by all the terms in our divisor. All right, so now what you're going to have is you're going to have negative x squared. You're going to have a positive x, and then you're going to have a +1. Remember that we are subtracting. We got parentheses there, so we can go ahead and see. So remember that first term should cancel out. I've got 0x minus an x, a 1x, which is a negative x, -1x. And then I have 5 minus a 1, which is a -6. Okay, now what you're going to see, you have no more terms to drop down. So this is actually going to be our remainder. So how we're going to write our answer is we're going to use what we have right at the top. We had x squared minus 2x minus 1. And then I'm going to take my remainder, which is -x minus 6. And then I'm going to put it over what I divided, or what I divided by my divisor right here, which was that x squared here on the top. And there would be your final answer. Okay, so we're going to do one more question together. So we're going to set up our problem in the exact same way. My divisor, right, is going to go on the outside. What am I dividing? I got 8x cubed minus 18x squared plus 21x minus 20. And I do not have any missing terms, so I should be good there. Yep. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and same thing is we're going to go ahead and divide. So I'm going to take my first term. I'm going to take that 8x cubed and I'm going to divide it by 2x. Which is going to get me 4x squared. I'm going to put that right above and line it up with that x squared term. Now I'm going to multiply. I'm going to take that 4x squared and multiply it by my two terms that are in my divisor. So I have 8x cubed, and then I have a minus 12x squared. Remember, we are subtracting and put parentheses around there, so we know we need to distribute that negative sign or change the sign in. Right? Remember, it's adding the opposite. So my first term should cancel. I will have -18 minus -12, which is like adding. That's going to get me a -6x squared. Then I'm going to drop my next term and just repeat the same thing. So then I have -6x squared divided by my first term, which is 2x. That gets me a -3x. And then it's going to go right above that 21x there. Line it up. And we're going to multiply. So we're going to get a -6x squared. And then we're going to get a positive 9x. Remember, subtracting that quantity there. So that will cancel. And I'm going to get 12x here. Now I'm going to drop that last term. All right, and now I am going to divide. So I'm going to take that 12x divided by 2x. And that gets me a 6, positive 6 here above my constant. And multiply, so 12x. And then -18. Again, we're subtracting that quantity there. So again, remember that that first term should cancel. And then I have -2. I'm going to write my answer here with 4x squared minus 3x plus 6. I have a remainder, and that's a -2. Put it over the divisor, which is what I divided by, which was the 2x minus 3. And this is going to be my final answer. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.